2 months later, my pants were a little snug. I'm like, well, this has never happened in my life. And so I stepped on the scale and I was at 190. So I gained 60 pounds in 60 days. And
60 pounds in 60 days?
Yeah.
We are Gold Ivy.
Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth.
Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places.
Those hard places are what creates space for light to shine through.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Who wants to know what I discovered that's an absolute game changer with my hormones, stress level, and quality of my sleep? I am not one to talk about supplements, but after learning all about magnesium, I have to fill you in. In May of last year, I tested my hormones and my doctor explained to me that most women are deficient in magnesium, how important magnesium is, and how the brand of magnesium matters. First, magnesium is involved in hundreds of biochemical reactions in your body. Cortisol regulation, take magnesium. Better sleep, magnesium. Muscle soreness and recovery, magnesium. Combat depression and anxiety, magnesium. The list of magnesium's benefits go well beyond those examples. I asked for the best brand of magnesium and my doctor said hands down, Smidge. She prefers Smidge because it's super clean and made in small batches. No fillers or common allergens and non-GMO. Smidge's magnesium is made with a premium form of magnesium called glycinate complex. After taking the 100 milligram capsule of Smidge evening magnesium every night for just a week, I noticed how much better I felt in the morning. Melatonin and other sleep aids can make me groggy or give me weird dreams. Smidge's magnesium has improved my energy levels, reduced my anxiety, and my digestive health has never been better. I do my best to take it every single night to keep reaping all the benefits. I'm telling you, Smidge magnesium is a game changer. The majority of adult women are deficient in magnesium, and we don't want you to be one of them. To experience the health benefits of Smidge evening magnesium as soon as possible, go to getsmidge.com or find the link in the show notes and be sure to use code GOLDIVY10 for a 10% discount. That's getsmidge.com and code GOLDIVY10 at checkout and let us know how great Smidge magnesium makes you feel as well.
Hey everyone, Brooke here. One of my biggest goals for 2025 is to improve my energy, and I know I'm not alone in that. I also know I'm not alone in what I'm about to say next. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I look forward to is my morning cup of coffee. What I don't look forward to is how much I rely on it to get me through the day and the stomach upset and crashes that come with it. I know it's hard on my hormones, energy, and stress levels, but man, is it a hard habit to break. Can anyone else relate? I want quick and easy, and I want energy. Saying goodbye completely to caffeine is out of the question for me, but trying it in a new way, that I'm open to. So let me tell you about my new obsession, Everyday Dose. Would you believe me if I told you my new morning cup of energy includes the following, and all in one simple scoop? We've got L-theanine, an amino acid that works to increase focus, balance insulin levels, metabolism, and lower stress and cortisol. We've got low acidity coffee extract, finally coffee that doesn't give me a stomach ache. Collagen protein to improve my gut health, skin, and nails. Chaga, a type of mushroom that supports immune system. And my favorite, Lion's Mane, a natural nootropic that helps reduce brain fog and boost my mood. In addition to it being the easiest and most effective morning routine, it's free of artificial sweeteners, additives, mycotoxins, and mold. I feel at ease knowing what's going in my body, all while feeling energized, calm, and focused all day. Check out their coffee starter kit. It comes with free gifts every month like a frother, gunmetal spoon, breathwork app, and more. Join Andrew and myself as we start our year and all 365 days with Everyday Dose. Visit everydaydose.com/goldivy and get your coffee starter kit delivered straight to your door. Use our code GOLDIVY to get up to 30% off your first order.
And now to this episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Today is an awesome day. We are really excited because we're talking about something we have not really touched on. It can be a touchy subject to talk about supplements. That's not all we're going to talk about today. But what we're excited about is there's a supplement that Brooke and I have been taking, and We know the importance of it for so many reasons. And if we're going to talk about it, we want to talk to the creator of it. We want to talk about why they've created it, their mission behind it, and their story. And so, Dan Corrigan, welcome to Ivy Unleashed.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Smidge. Let's talk about Smidge.
Yes.
Dan, you've created a product, Smidge. I just want to tease it a little bit, and then we'll get into your story and why you created Smidge. But like Andrea said in the beginning of the episode, we have started taking, specifically we started with the magnesium. The night magnesium, the morning magnesium. I also take the digestive enzymes. Like, the line of products is just amazing. And when we take a product, we want to know the why behind it and the who behind it. So Dan, share with us a little bit, before you started Smidge, your health journey, where it all began for you.
Sure. I have I think we all have our own journey, and some of them are more unique than others. And so my journey really started, I think I was a senior in high school. I was thin in high school, so I, would lift weights to try to, gain weight and stuff. And so one day I had bought like the large, 44-pound plates to do squats. And so I picked some up from the store, loading it into the car, and I dropped one on my ankle, and it hurt. But, you kind of brush it off and then continue on with your day and not thinking anything of it, right? And then fast forward a little bit, I'm in college, and I had a all-you-can-eat meal plan. And so I would get up first thing in the morning, right when the doors open, I forgot what time, 6:30 or whatever time, 7 a.m., and just eat a couple full breakfast, bacon, eggs, all this stuff, right? Eat a bunch, and then go to my class, and then go back to the cafeteria, get some more food, and then same thing with lunch. Go in when they open for lunch, eat some, go to class, come back, eat some more, and then same thing with dinner. Go in, they would open the doors at 4:30. I'd go in, eat as much as I could till 6:30. So I would just eat. And then if I had any spare change, I would then afterwards, I would order 2 large pepperoni pizzas for a snack.
Wow.
After they closed the thing. So I was just eating like crazy, and I had insatiable hunger. And so, I couldn't gain weight. So I weighed 130 pounds, and I would just be eating like crazy. But have you ever felt like when you have like low blood sugar, like, that's all you can think about is I need to get to some food. That was like 24/7 for me. It was just like I had to eat, but I never could satiate my hunger. So it was like this bizarre thing, but I'm just still thinking, okay, still young teenager, just hungry, whatever, I'm skinny and I just need to eat. So not really thinking much of it, right? And then, but as time went on, and in college, you have more flexibility of eating, 4 hours a day. When you're when you're more of an adult and working society, it's harder to just spend your half of the day eating. And so, speaking of which, later on, I had got married, and my wife and I went on a little weekend trip, and we were living in Detroit. We went to Chicago for I think it was for Christmas, you go shopping and stuff. So we go there, and we go to breakfast, of course. I'm like just ordering and ordering and ordering. She kind of puts up with me and she's patient, right? And then we go shopping, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, it's time for another meal. And she's like, no. I'm like, yes, so we had a little friction there. And so pretty much she was like, you got to figure something out, because this is not like a normal situation where you got to keep eating. Anyways, what ended up happening is, so when I hit my ankle, that disrupted this, my spleen meridian.
What?
And I didn't have any idea. It took me about 10 years to figure that out. So during this 10-year time, I had this insatiable hunger, and then I started having health problems. So I start getting, different allergies or lactose intolerance, And so they just kept one after another, just kept piling up. And, some are kind of inconvenient. Some are a little bit more troublesome. And they just got more and more and more. I would get food poisoning, like at the drop of a hat. So I'd be like, laid up with food poisoning, and maybe somebody else ate the same food and they'd feel a little tummy ache or something, but I would be like deathly ill. And so anyways, as I went to all these doctors, and this is where I kind of started getting all these little, I was desperate, really. I went to doctors and they're like, hey, your tests look fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, well, here's all my symptoms. I don't feel well. Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, tests look great. You're healthy. And so it was very frustrating going through the regular, mainstream medical system. So then I start going to alternative health practitioners, and without any much luck. But I would, go with one guy, go with a nutritionist, a DO, DC, MD, whatever it was. I would try these different paths, take different supplements, do different protocols. And really with my illness just got worse and worse. And so then it became like, I have to figure this out, so then it became like, I can't just go and, have somebody fix me. I can't just take a pill and have it fix me. I can't, I have to figure out what's going on. And so,
are you in your 20s at this point? Like, is this?
I'm in my 20s. So you
Okay.
think like you should be at the peak of your health,
Right.
and I'm just getting more and more sickly. And just went on this journey and trying to figure this out. Went to a lot of different practitioners, and then one day I don't know what made me do this, but I just kept doing random things because nothing was working. And so I bought a blood sugar meter, and I tested my blood sugar in the morning, and it was like, I think it was around 50. And so, I think normal it'd be 80 to 100. So it was like low. And if I didn't eat massive amounts of food, it would drop below 20, and it would say, seek emergency medical attention. And it was hard to function when your brain has got no fuel, And so, and I couldn't recover. The only thing that would allow me to recover was, 8 hours of sleep. So every day was like a starting gun would go off. Like, I got to eat like crazy just to maintain 50, which is insatiable hunger. And the goal was never to go like too many hours without food. Otherwise it drops below 20. And you're just like, that's where it became like, I didn't realize it at the time. I guess I'm glad I didn't. That becomes like life or death.
Yeah.
I never sought emergency medical attention because I'm like, well, I already went to doctors for years. Like, nobody knows what's going on. Anyway, so as time went on, I just, the funniest part of the story was I'm going to all these different things, learning feng shui, learning acupressure, learning all these things, and then I go to a free feng shui seminar at an office furniture store, and that's where I found my answer.
What? Feng shui? Am I saying this right? Feng shui?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
how does the feng shui give you the answer to your illness? I am so curious.
Keeping the flu and common cold out of your household is important whether you're 5, 35, or 95. And we're going to tell you the easiest and most delicious way to do just that. It's with All Things Elderberry, a woman-owned business that has all-natural, vegan-friendly, and gluten-free elderberry products.
And when we say products, we mean a variety of delicious and beautiful products, not just for you, but for your entire household to get an immunity boost. If we had to pick our favorite product, I'm going with organic elderberry gummies. My kids are obsessed. We're trying to avoid sickness from school and make sure they can participate in their sports. So they take one every morning before they brush their teeth. They think the gummies taste like a mix of grape and cotton candy. I tried them too, and I can see why they ask for them every day. I love that they're boosting their immune system at the start of their day.
My favorite All Things Elderberry product is the elderberry green tea paired with the elderberry honey. The green tea gives me a midday boost, and the honey gives the tea extra sweetness. I also put the honey in my morning coffee instead of creamer. So good. All Things Elderberry is my solution for staying healthy before traveling, avoiding frequent colds and sinus infections, really just maintaining my health all year round.
What sets this brand apart from the others is there are no artificial additives in All Things Elderberry. Their elixir is made with organic, Missouri-grown elderberries, raw honey, and whole spices.
Elderberries not only help with immune support, but may also slow the aging process with their powerful antioxidants, improve skin health, and can shorten the duration of severity of colds and flu.
Visit allthingselderberry.com to explore their full range of immune-supporting products. Stay healthy and feel your best naturally. Use our code GOLDIVY at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's code GOLDIVY at checkout for 15% off your first order.
Dre, tell the people as fast as you can why Move with Gold Ivy is the last mind-body fitness program they'll ever have to buy, and how women are finally getting the transformation they're looking for.
I love a challenge. Let's go. 2 big things. 1, Move provides a fun atmosphere to work out in that actually gets you excited to show up and follow through with your goals. Not only is there an element of fun, but we've carefully curated a program that makes it as easy as possible for women to take care of themselves. And 2, a Move membership addresses every aspect of your health, mind and body. Our Move members are getting the physical transformation they've been hoping for and feeling like they've finally found the group that motivates them on a daily basis. What did I miss?
As a Move member, you receive a weekly workout plan, weekly live or Zoom workouts, an on-demand workout library, transformational quarterly reset challenges, monthly coaching calls, monthly masterminds with health experts, and a private group of motivated members for support and accountability.
It's ready for you when you're ready to boost your metabolism, confidence, and feel your absolute best. Join Move or learn more by clicking the link in the show notes, clicking the link in our bio on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, or by messaging us on any social channel at Gold Ivy Health Co.
It's your time. Move for your health, move for your confidence, move for your mental clarity, move with Gold Ivy.
And so at that point in time, I was, when I wake up in the morning, when you have like a flu and your whole body aches and you just don't want to get out of bed. That was like my day. At that point in my life, that's how my day started. Was just like I can't even, really function, and I'm all achy and everything. Can't even get out of bed. But I'm like, I have to. I gotta support myself and get out of bed and start eating and go to work and all this stuff, right? So I go to this free feng shui seminar, and this guy he's from Germany, Asian guy with he's got every, master, grandmaster this, grandmaster that, he's just like almost like somebody you see on a movie, like just some really brilliant guy that's trained in all these arts, He looks at me, and because I went up to him after the thing, I'm like, oh, do you know anything about this NAET, which was new at the time, this allergy elimination technique? It was brand new. I'm like, I should probably try that, but I'll ask this guy. He seems to know a lot of stuff, He looks at me and he says, oh, you have low chi in your spleen. I'm like,
what?
I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. And he says, oh, just rub on your right there on your hand. Just rub on your hand. Just rub that every day. And I didn't do that because I'm like, this just sounds preposterous.
Yeah.
And how can I even see like my chi or whatever, anything, I didn't even know what any of this stuff was at the time. So I went to a practitioner that I was seeing that happened to be trained in acupuncture, and he was a chiropractor, and he did this little clicker thing, which creates a static or like a spark, and versus using a needle. He goes down by my ankle, clicks it, and I feel this euphoric rush engulf me. I am like flying high as a kite. I'm like, it's so much euphoria that I think I'm gonna die. I'm just like, this is like so intense. And I thought I had a poker face. I said to the guy, I said, would I feel anything? and he's down at my ankle. He's like, ah, you might not. Then he looks up at me and he just starts laughing. He goes, enjoy the ride. Because I must have just been like beaming, And so didn't think I mean, well, it was like, oh my God, that was amazing. But I didn't think I just thought, well, it was fun. That was great. Love to do that every day.
I'll be back.
And then, what was it? 2 months later, my pants were a little snug. I'm like, well, this has never happened in my life. And so I stepped on the scale and I was at 190. So I gained 60 pounds in 60 days. And I'm
60
like,
pounds in 60 days?
yeah. And I didn't even notice, I just happened to have pants. I was always buying them big because I figured one day I'm gonna, gain some weight, and I gained weight and I gained 60 pounds in 60 days. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so then I test my blood sugar and it's like 80, just rock solid 80. Then I eat a meal, maybe it goes up, to 100 or whatever it was. And then it goes back to 80. The next day I wake up, test it, 80. I'm like, oh my God. And then I think back, oh, it's that clicker thing on my ankle. That was
What?
60 days ago. And so I had, I still kept eating, at the time, my mindset was don't let the blood sugar drop because I'm going to die. And so every day I was eating like crazy, but that one thing cleared the blockage. And so then that was like later on, I searched up, this is maybe pre-internet or something, but later on I searched up what is spleen meridian, and it says, oh, this in Chinese medicine, the spleen meridian controls the absorption of nutrients. I'm like, oh my God. And then I think later on, I was looking at my ankle and I have this mark from when I dropped the weight. So then it was like years later, I'm like, that's what caused it was I hit it took me like 15 years to kind of piece it all together. But so the long and short of it was like, I mean, that's a, kind of a crazy story. You don't have to believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's fine. But along that time, I was so desperate for answers that I spent so much money, went to go to so many practitioners, take so much different types of training, all these things. I learned a lot during that desperation time of my life.
Yeah. Wow. That is wild. And it's like, it shows too that you don't get the answers. Like they might be right in front of you, but you never know what's going to give you the actual answer. That's wild.
Like, had you not gone to this Feng Shui seminar or training, like, was there something in you, like you saw this in the newspaper or an ad and you just felt drawn to go, or what was that like?
Yeah. So at the time there was this like local rag. It was kind of new age type, natural health thing or something. I was just, like I said, I was just kind of flipping through and I saw this ad. I'm like, well, I haven't tried that yet. and so I just, okay, I'm there, dropping everything, going, and went there. And, I mean, not in my wildest dreams, I would have expected that. So I went and took the guy's, training, learned how to do, feng shui to my house. But really the key was having that blockage cleared.
Yeah. You know what I keep thinking about too is when you're looking for answers for your health, the amount of information you learn about natural healing, like, oh, this could be the toxin that's affecting my body, or it could be something I'm eating, something I'm breathing, something I'm, whatever. And what's tricky is you can't unlearn those things. Like once you know them, and it can be all consuming. It can be like an obsession because you're trying to feel good. And so how do you balance that with and I want to get more into what you've learned too, but how do you balance that, wealth of knowledge and not obsessing over and feeling like you have to, tiptoe around your health and do everything perfectly?
Yep. No, that's a great question. And I've gone through many phases, and some so like you're saying at at one time I was obsessed with mercury. And I mean, this one guy uh, mentioned to me, he goes, like, you're a little, I don't know what he said, but a little bit crazy about mercury. He goes, you can do anything I say, you can like tie it back to mercury. You could be like, oh, the football game. Oh, did you know that? Da, 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 da. I'd have it all mapped out in my head, how everything ties back to mercury.
Like
and,
the planet or the
No, like
substance?
mercury poisoning?
What's that?
The planet or the
Oh,
poisoning?
I'm sorry. Yeah, mercury poisoning. And so that was one of the roads I did chelation therapy and all this stuff. And then my dad had was disabled, pretty much disabled from mercury, and so that was like helping him with his health. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's me too. And so he was, they said, oh, you've got MS, by wheelchair. You're kind of like, there's nothing we can do. And then we find out that it was mercury from fillings, and got rid of that. And then he didn't have to have a wheelchair. So that was, that was kind of like eye-opening experience to me as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the more you learn, the more rabbit holes you can go down, and then you still have to be a functioning human in society. So talk to us about that balance of
yeah. So anyway, I was kind of like, pretty amped up about everything, and, get on the soapbox, and then everybody, just run everybody away, friends or family. Don't talk to Dan. He's, he just wants to tell you all these things, so then it's like, okay, that's not really a good, good approach if you're just so hyper focused on this stuff. And then I went to, then I, kind of learned that, okay, it's, speak to people that want to hear you, and so versus trying to grab everybody by the shoulder and shake some sense into them. And so that's where I kind of went to, was I started giving some free talks to the autism community and some other groups of people that would let me talk. I just talk for free and share knowledge, mostly about the real food journey part of it, but just kind of giving back what I learned. And then what happened from there was, then people would say, oh, can you recommend a supplement? And so then I start looking at supplements and said, okay, here's some ones that I vetted. And so then I ended up creating an online store to say, okay, I'm going to curate some supplements, and that way people, because it's just tough to, we all have limited time in our life, and so that's kind of how it started, was giving free talks. People wanted recommendations. I started, selling some, and then I met two other people, Archie and Karen. They're my business partners. They were kind of had the same passion and really, really real food driven, but also recognized, there are some things that you kind of, that can help, the supplements can help with. It's, again, we all, came from this, there's no magic pill that's going to cure you. You really have to put in the work and learn what's best for you. And then, but the real food part of it is kind of unavoidable. That's kind of like foundational health. Is food is, very powerful, and both, good or bad, but you can harness dietary interventions to kind of, really push your health forward, and the supplements can assist in that journey. And so what ended up happening was, we were selling some products that we curated, and then the feedback from the customers were, hey, I can't take this because I'm sensitive to this or this ingredient or this filler. So, and so I guess me going through my journey, I became very empathetic and like whatever people said, I believed them. It wasn't like, hey, you're crazy, just take this. No, I'm listening very closely because, people thought I was, kind of crazy in my story. And so that made me a better person, is to, listen, meet people where they're at, really listen to what their needs are. And so when I went back to, like, let's say for a probiotic, looking for one that met the needs of these specific people, there wasn't one out there. And that was what we launched with in it was 15 years ago, was with our first probiotic supplement. And it kind of addressed all these things that we were hearing, and there was nothing like it on the market. And so that's where we kind of started. And that was, again, the mindset was real food is really the key of foundational health. But if your gut is that's what mine, when I ate all that food, I had a damaged gut. So I had to, even though my spleen meridian was fixed, my gut was destroyed by eating massive amounts of, I was just overeating for a decade. So I had to do a lot of work to restore my gut health. And so that's where we started off with the probiotic supplement.
Those 2 large pizzas, they caught up to you. I love that you mentioned, though, starting with real whole foods and that the supplement is an add-on. And yes, some people, they do need the supplement, but starting with the food. I'd love, before we dive in more to supplements, just for you to talk about the food. What do you recommend? What have you seen over the years that has really made a difference? So before people even start to think about supplements, what do you recommend their diet looks like?
Yeah, so I was involved with the Weston A. Price Foundation, and so that was Dr. Weston Price, the dentist in around the 30s, 20s, 30s, 1930s. He had went around the world and looked at all these cultures and tried to figure out like what's the diet that was associated with people that had the most robust health, and from his lens was looking at dental health because he was a dentist. And so that's kind of the root of where I'm coming from is, and so what his kind of conclusion or whatever was, you can't just eat a vegetarian diet. You need, some fat soluble vitamins, and you're getting that from animal sources. So I think he really was thinking, oh, vegetarian diet might be great. And then he looked, and the worst diets were people that were eating processed sugars and processed foods. And then healthier people, let's say they were eating vegetarian, but then the healthiest was people that were incorporating some type of animal protein, that, animal fats that had, so you were getting your fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A. And so that's kind of the really, that in a nutshell is trying to avoid, and now you hear the term ultra processed foods. So avoiding ultra processed foods, trying to, if you can, work with, get food from a farmer, the cleanest food that you can get. And then, either non-processed, whole foods, real foods, but then having a variety of meats and animal proteins, and then vegetables. And so that's kind of just the basic, I guess, mindset that I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Foods that come from the earth.
Yeah. We've had a lot of people on that actually have talked about the Weston Price diet, and I've looked it up myself. There's so much research online. So for anyone listening, I would definitely say just do some good old Googling and see what speaks to you and some changes you could make. And then once you feel good about that and you're like, okay, I'm ready to supplement, let's talk about adding Smidge in. Where would you recommend people start? Let's talk first. I'm working on my gut health. I don't want to introduce a million supplements. Let's just start one at a time. Would the probiotic be the first one, or what would you recommend?
Yeah. So I think that the probiotic is a great place to start. So you have these kind of dueling thoughts. One is, hey, I'm getting my nutrition from food. Let's just eat cultured vegetables or fermented foods. And I think that's great if you're maintaining your health, but if you're trying to recover, the more you have to do to recover, the more supplements probably come into play, because, and what we found, and this is why we started with the probiotic, was a lot of our customers were within the autism community, so they had a lot of sensitivities to various foods. So they couldn't just eat some food. It's like, no, I'm reacting to this, this food. So then I can't eat kefir, I can't eat yogurt, or I can't eat this, I can't, I have so much sensitivities, texture-wise, all these different things. So, I think the probiotic is a great place to start, just because the onsalt on our gut, is probably more than what we realize. So if we're drinking water with, fluoride or chlorine, if you're drinking tap water, it's going to have some things that might damage your gut. If you're just taking over-the-counter medication or prescription medication, not even, let's just put aside antibiotics, because nowadays I think there's more awareness. You take an antibiotic, well, I should maybe take a probiotic, right? But even any type of medication, or if you're eating ultra processed foods, these things can disrupt the microbiome. And so, yeah, if you start getting your diet squared away, you can add a probiotic to kind of help, accelerate that process. And then the other kind of thing that it's not as glamorous or media friendly, is enzymes. So enzymes are basically a specialized protein that can help digest your food. And so that could be another thing that you could try, is taking an enzyme with the meal. And then do you feel better after the meal? Maybe you eat something and you feel sluggish afterwards normally. Maybe try an enzyme, and maybe you still feel good. Like you don't want to take a nap after lunch or something. And so you might say, hey, maybe I need a little help with the digestion. So probiotics are, bacteria, your microbiome, and they can kind of work hand in hand with the enzymes that your body naturally produces. But sometimes people maybe don't produce enough. Or what I've seen is when people are moving more towards a real food diet, they inevitably, maybe it's less so nowadays, but before, people really focused on low fat. And then you start eating more real food, there's fat, and your body is like, whoa, I'm not used to this. And you kind of struggle with that transition to a real food diet. And you say, I don't feel good. Well, maybe your gut needs a little coaxing. And so again, the probiotics and the enzymes could help kind of smooth that over.
Yeah. Something I keep thinking about too is like, I've had a lot of resistance to taking supplements, and I'm trying to figure out like what that is. And maybe it's just like another thing to think about, or another thing to buy, or another thing to like, and you think of it not being natural, putting it in your body, but there's a time and place for it. And something I was reading about so much in learning that I was deficient in magnesium is how many people are. And when I think about taking magnesium, I had some resistance to it, but I was like, I want to feel better. And I think sometimes we get in these habits or these patterns where I always feel like I have to take a nap after I eat. Like you just normalize that's how you just function. Or, oh yeah, I'm a light sleeper. Or, fill in the blank of, being super stressed all the time. Oh yeah, I'm a mom. It's like, no, okay. Like when some things are off and you get in this pattern of accepting that you always have these aches and pains, or, fill in the blank. And I just want to give everybody permission to allow yourself to try something that could potentially be a game changer, even if it's a supplement, because I am guilty of the resistance to it. And for me personally with magnesium, I know there's different forms of magnesium, and I definitely want to get into that. But a lot of our listeners are women, and they struggle with stress and sleep, digestive issues, aches and pains, and different forms of magnesium help with all those things, along with all these other benefits. And so I want to get into magnesium specifically because I know so many women are deficient in it. And maybe I have here the two different types that I specifically have. I have morning magnesium and evening magnesium. So maybe we just start with the difference between the two and like the benefits. So if people are listening and they're like, ooh, I need that, they know which one to choose.
Sure. And yeah, so I'll take a step back and kind of share what prompted those two formulas to be created. And so the what I saw was people, when people recognize that, hey, I might be like the other, 50% of Americans that are deficient in magnesium, I should try some magnesium. So then they go out and buy magnesium, and many products might have just one form of magnesium, which is, fine. I think we all have some of this, or some people more than others, is like is a little is good, more is better, right? And so then it's like, oh, I know I'm deficient, and let me just take a lot of magnesium, right? And so then what would happen is what I saw was happening was people would pick out a magnesium product, take it, and then increase their dosage. And then maybe they'd have some unwanted side effects. And then they're like, oh, that's not a good brand. Let me switch to this one. And then, or that a different type of magnesium. So then they would kind of just start going around and around. And so my perception of that, or what I recognized could be an issue, was taking too much of one kind. And so magnesium is unstable element, and so it has to be attached to something. So you can't just have like magnesium. It's got to be like, magnesium malate or magnesium taurinate. So it has to be attached because it's an unstable molecule. And so what you attach it to, does impact a little bit how that's received. And so, but generally speaking, if you're taking too much of one kind, that could be just problematic in general, because you're getting too much of the thing that's added on, let's say. And so the approach with us was, hey, let's just kind of balance things out and put a little bit of each one. And then when we were doing that was, hey, this one's more calming. Let's move these over to the evening. And these are more energizing because what it's attached to. Let's put these in a morning. So then you can have, so the morning has 3 different types, the evening has 2. So then you're mitigating any downside of having too much of one kind, and you're leveraging the benefits of ones that maybe are more energizing by taking them earlier in the day, the morning magnesium. And then you're leveraging the benefit of the other one, the evening magnesium, to calm you at night so you can sleep better. So it's you could just say you could take one or the other or both. We're big fans of listen to your body. Don't let us. You don't have to follow the label. You can take less or more, whatever. But we're pretty much, hence the name Smidge. We're not the mega dose company, And so a Smidge, that's part of the Smidge concept, is like low and slow and listen to your body.
Oh, I love that.
And magnesium has been a game changer for both of us when it comes to what Andrew said, our sleep, stress, hormones, gut health. Dan, I'd love for you to just touch on why that is. Like, why is it that adding simply magnesium in helps with all of these issues?
That's a great question, because magnesium is, to me, it's very unique, because I think there's people that will say, oh, magnesium is required for like 300 different enzyme activities in the body. And then there's other people that will say there's like 3,000 things that require magnesium. So I think it's unique in that sense, that it's not, let's say calcium. Okay, maybe you have a few things that rely on calcium, but magnesium is such a important nutrient in many different things that, and many of those you can readily see, like you can feel it too, so it's not even like, hey, your body could be working at 50% level and you're not really, maybe you just feel a little sluggish or whatever. But so just overall, like there's probably all these things that are hindered by it that you might not even know that are, your body is not working at 100%. But it is, magnesium itself does help things like, regulating your stress hormones. So your hormones are impacted by it. Obviously, you talked about sleep. That's impacted by magnesium. I just love reading our reviews. You hear people like, oh, I took it for this, but like, holy cow, it like cured, oh, I don't have cramping anymore, or, whether it's women with menstrual cramps or just regular cramps. People, that are either cutting back, they don't need an afternoon cup of coffee anymore. so there's like, but the bottom line is it's one element that's your body uses it in thousands of different things. So if you are deficient, all those things are going to be hindered.
Yeah. And what helped me switch from resisting it to enjoying this process is exactly what you said, is taking a smidge, taking a little bit, easing into it. I don't take it every single night because, sometimes you forget, or you're putting your kids to bed, you fall asleep and then, whatever. So now I just keep it out on the counter. But it's noticing the benefits and celebrating them and being like, wow, I am sleeping so much better. And for me, what's different is taking melatonin versus taking magnesium. You get like weird dreams with melatonin sometimes, or like you wake up groggy depending on like when you take it or how much you take of melatonin. But with magnesium, it feels like deeper, better quality sleep. Actually, so much that I feel like I don't even move sometimes. I'm like, okay, I need magnesium now because my back hurts because I hardly moved because I slept so good. And
then you just need to take the morning magnesium and you're all set.
Okay, well, see, that's good to know. And I know sleep is the big thing for people, and we are such big proponents of good quality sleep because it affects everything we do. And so I really like thinking about the wins I get by taking this instead of thinking about, okay, I need to order more or I need to remember it. It's like, okay, just put an alert on your phone, take it, and then notice how much better you feel. And so I know that's something that helps me a lot with supplements is I need to take them regularly. There are things I'm deficient in, and let's see how good we can feel once we get that in the routine.
And I think when you mentioned about, just resisting supplements, and I think that, I think that's not a bad thing. Like have that, like better than saying, hey, I'm going to take this magic pill that's going to cure me. Like that's not a good mind. The mindset is do everything that you can, like to take care of your whole body, whether it's, physical exercise or meditate, whatever you want to do to take care, just self-care basically overall. And then again, the real food diet, and do whatever you can. And then when you use a supplement, it's more of an adjunct. And the magnesium, one of the things I didn't mention was, there's people talk about magnesium burn rate. So the more stress you have, the more you can cook through the magnesium. So even if you were very conscious about, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat some dark chocolate for my magnesium, or whatever you're adding some magnesium rich foods to your diet, that you would also, but you might just be burning through it more just because of the stress of society in America right now or whatever. You're just like, okay, I'm burning through it a little bit higher. A supplement is just gonna cut that edge off or replace what I'm burning. Maybe if I lived just homestead and everything was just hunky dory, and you had no care in the world, maybe you could get enough magnesium, maybe not. But I think the more we're under stress, the more our requirements for magnesium are higher.
Oh, that's a good point. I never even thought about that. And I just think talking about supplements, Brooke and I don't like promoting anything unless if we take it, we've done a deep dive on who's creating it, where it's coming from. And I just want you to talk a little bit more about you in the supplement industry. And, for us, it was important to find a brand that the owners have a backstory in health. Like you have this empathy for people that are looking for the most natural route, right? And then to hear about all these sensitivities you've considered, I love that. But I would love for you to talk a little bit more about trying to stand out in the supplement industry and kind of how people who are really health conscious about staying away from anything artificial as much as they can, like why they would choose Smidge.
Sure. So let's say just on the magnesium front, one of the things one of the challenges for us, and we've encountered it when we first started with the probiotic, and I could talk about that in a second. But with the magnesium, let's say, is it's pretty easy. Let's say to start a supplement company, you can just be like, you can start with just private labeling, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna sign up for this program and put my name on it, and you just get what you get, and type of thing. So, or you could say, hey, I'm going to go and I want to do my own thing and make my own formulas. But the whole industry is geared for these machines that are running like millions of capsules, an hour or whatever the numbers are. Just they're high speed machines, and so then that requires different ingredients added to the supplement that just enable the machine to function at a high speed. So like in our case, we're like, we're not putting anything in there just so the machine can run faster so we can reduce the cost, because like our whole thing is we want people to eat a clean diet, and you can't ask somebody to eat a clean diet and then be like, don't worry about all these extra fillers and, additives, that's just to make the machine run fast. It's like, no, we don't want to do that. So we're, very particular, in terms of obtaining raw materials from the highest quality sources, and then, double testing them ourselves, manufacturing, testing afterwards. Just like we want to make sure all our, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and just go above and beyond, and making sure that it is the cleanest possible that we could get. So like when we started with the probiotic, we wanted to create a probiotic that didn't have a prebiotic. And it was like everybody we talked to, I'm like, okay, here's our formula, here's what we want to do. And the manufacturer's like, we're not going to do that. Like nobody would do it, and they're like, you can't do it. It's like, why not? And so the bottles are like our powder. We have pure powder probiotic. It's this little tiny bottle, and they're hand filled because there's no machines to run it. And it's pure probiotic powder, which this little bottle has 1,000 servings. So when you're buying it, normally when you're buying a probiotic, they'll have big, thing on the bottle. It's like, oh, it comes with the prebiotic, which is like food for the probiotic, which seems like good, a reasonable thing to do is add some food in there. But our customers were like, we're sensitive to that. And so if you're already eating food in real life, you might not need a prebiotic because you're already eating food that's going to act as a prebiotic. So we wanted to have just something without any fillers, and it was met with so much resistance, and we finally got it made. And then, people are like zeroed in on that. Like, this is what, they're only going to use this because they don't want to use something that has, even if the filler is good for you, it might not be good for you in that stage, or it might have too much prebiotic. And the reason for the prebiotic is if you have a capsule, the amount of probiotic in there would be like, so small that you have to put some type of filler in there. And so that's totally reasonable. But so for us, we were like, how do we do it without a filler? Oh, we need to make a powder. And then we said, hey, make this powder, but all the machines were geared for adding a prebiotic. So yeah, every step of the way for us is like this uphill battle, and working with people that are willing to or they have a different type of machine that can either they have to hand do it, or they run the machine super slow, or they have a specialized machine. So, and it depends, and we have all these different ingredients. So for our vitamins, we're only using whole food, real food vitamins. And so we're not adding any synthetic vitamins. So each one of those, so like our beef liver, we have kakadu plum, we have emu oils, we have all these different things, and they'll require a specialized machine. And so we don't do no volume to say, oh, we're going to spend, 50 million buying all these different machines. We have to partner with different people that are willing to say, okay, we understand what you want. We can dial down the machine and do a small batch for you. And then it just costs a little bit more to produce it that way. But the end product is as clean as you can get.
Okay. And that makes so much sense, because when you don't know anything about supplements and you hear small batch, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, I bet sometimes you're like, man, it might just be easier if we just go with this one machine that's going to fill it with whatever. But I love that you have integrity behind it, that you think of the faces of the people that are going to be ingesting these products, and you want to be able to really help the masses in a way that's like,
Right.
anybody could take this and be safe and have the most natural experience with whole real foods. So that's cool how you've paired your experience, your education, and kept the integrity of the brand. That's, I'm sure it's not always easy.
Oh yeah. And so there's been times where we're like, oh, we want to do this product, and then we just can't do it. There's no physical way to do it. And so it's because we would, and I think this just in general, like for, like advice that I would give to people is, if like, don't like either buy something that's clean, but like, it's probably better than like, you might be better off just foregoing it if you say, oh, I can only buy the one that's loaded up with like just try to just stick to the real food diet. Then.
Yeah.
Don't start adding all these supplements that are more they're affordable, but they're who knows what they're putting in them. Well, I know what they're putting in them, but it's like and that's what we don't want to do. We want to serve the people that say, hey, I'm just going to take this one or two things and I want it to be clean, and I'll pay a premium for that. And that's the market we're kind of here to serve.
Yeah, I love that. And you tease a little more of other products you have, the emu oil and the beef liver, and just the line of supplements. The variety is amazing. I love it. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for creating something so pure, so clean, going against the norm to create something that is safe with the customer in mind. It's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, then we wrap up our show with 3 segments. Our first segment is 3 gold stars. So if you had 3 top takeaways you'd want to leave our listeners with, what would they be?
I think just to recap what we said, it's eat real food. I mean, that's the most important thing. And again, that's kind of almost like the do what you can afford, So it's like, the higher the quality, the better off you'll be. It's kind of the self-care thing too. It's like, invest in good food because it's gonna pay dividends. And then the other one is, take magnesium, and you could, if you're taking a single form of magnesium, I would say don't push the dose. It's better to have a variety than to have too much of one kind. And I think most people would be served by taking magnesium just because there's so many bodily biomechanical chemical reactions in the body that are relying on that. And so you could take it for 60 days or whatever and say, hey, I didn't feel anything. Maybe that kind wasn't good for you, or hey, maybe you don't need it, and that's great. Then don't you don't have to worry about it. Don't take it. But I think give it 60, 90 days to see how you feel, and then where you adjust the dose up or down. And then finally, it's take care of your gut, and you could try either a probiotic or an enzyme. An enzyme is something you take with meals to help break it down, and you might just keep a little people keep a little food diary, but you might say, how did I feel at 2 p.m? Do I have that afternoon slump? And then take the enzyme and see if that changes at all, or take the probiotic, and just that might be all you need to kind of get things situated to it's basically to amplify. And the real food diet is taking care of your gut.
Oh, that's great advice. I love those. All right, next up, Dan, is Unleashing Ivy. Surprise questions for you. And I want to do a little deep dive on the education. Okay, so we're trained in acupressure, whole nutrition, autism nutrition, alternative medicine, feng shui. We talked about that. We didn't even talk about the fact that you're a holistic health expert. Well, we kind of touched on that, but you're also the author of Eat Well, Supplement Well, Digest Well. You're a certified body ecology coach and the owner of a supplement company. That's a lot of different things. And what I'm intrigued about is the knowledge in your brain, like all of this education, and not even just like in school, but with your health, you've done a deep dive into so many different things. So I'm curious, and you think back to all the things that you've been trained on or learned about, like what is like one of the most favorite things or practices or something that you learned about and how you apply it to your everyday life now?
That's a great question. Yeah, because it's like each time, you kind of go down a rabbit hole, and then you come up, and you might say, "There's nothing that really I can take with me."
Yeah.
Other things that, and so I think trying to think of one, I guess I have a certain, with my gut health, I guess a certain affinity to that. And, when I did the body ecology training, that was all about, making different types of cultured, foods and so on and so forth. And it's kind of like you with your magnesium, you kind of go, you still go in waves. Like I don't think there's anything that I do religiously, like for my health, other than have the awareness that if I'm doing something that's not right for too long, like I know that's gonna, cost me. And
Yeah.
so having the awareness that you can be free to just live and not worry about everything, but have the awareness that once you start feeling, I guess you kind of have you have like kind of a more awareness, like, okay, I better clean up my diet and stop doing this, or drink more water, or do whatever. And so it might be different throughout your days, but knowing that stressing about every single thing in your life doesn't serve you. It's learn, take what you can incorporate, and not, like, it's not worth stressing over.
Yeah.
That's almost counterproductive. So
That's good
I think
advice.
that was kind of hard for me. Was before I was just like dialed in, and just like if you go to somebody's house, you got to bring your own food, you got to do all this stuff, and then it's like, okay, it's better to let go on some things.
Great advice. Great advice. Okay, Dan, my question. You're stranded on a deserted island. You can only bring 2 Smidge products with you. Which ones are you taking?
Let's see. Well,
It's like choosing a favorite child.
yeah. So I think it's, probably the probiotic would be good, because,
Okay.
never know what's gonna, throw your gut off. Smidge sensitive probiotic would be a good one there. And then, you almost, the beef liver. So the beef liver and the magnesium are a toss up. And so, because the beef liver provides more vitamins, and so I don't know what I'm going to find on the deserted island. So I might have to go with the beef liver. If I know there's animals that I could eat, maybe I go with the magnesium.
Okay.
Fair. So 3, top 3. We'll let you have it.
I love that. I love when we make people choose and they're like, wow, so hard. All right, Dan, last question. If you could go back to younger Dan, your younger self, and tell him something, what age would he be and what would you tell him?
Well, I know for me, it's like, okay, don't drop the weight on your ankle when you're 18 years old. That would be my thing. And I think my younger self, I had, kind of I guess I had to go through this journey to have more empathy. I think I had less empathy, maybe you have more judgment when you don't go through your own journey. You're like, what that person did. Now it's like, I have no idea what that person, so I don't even know if that's something you can tell somebody, because I know if I tell my kids something, they're like, yeah, right, Dad, and then they might, 20 years later, they might say, oh, you were right about that. So I think I would probably tell my younger self to, have more empathy. And I don't know if I would, maybe I just had to go through the journey to have more empathy.
Yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful journey hearing about it and all that you learned. And I'm sure it was so hard. Like, you had to be so resilient. And through, hearing Brooke's journey too, like through these years where you should have so much energy and feel your best and not have to worry about your health, you're like seeing so many different doctors and having to learn so many different things. And I mean, I truly think it makes you a better business owner, right? It makes me want to buy your products more. And the heart behind it makes me think like, okay, I can trust this person. Like, I have 3 kids. I don't want to just throw different things at them from a company that's mass producing things. And so I'm glad you dropped that thing on your ankle. and I just appreciate you and your other business partners too at Smidge. Your team is amazing. That you're creating things that we can rely on, that we can feel safe with, because there isn't a whole lot of regulation. And you could take the easy route, and you're not. And so I'm just so thankful we had your time and that we were able to talk through this. Some things that are kind of over our head, hard to understand, or we just never learn. I'm glad that you really walked us through what that's like. And so thank you so much.
I appreciate your time and so grateful for you. And I'm grateful for my team. We I'm super blessed with our team. Everybody's just, really, really passionate about what we're doing. And so I think it's, we're just here to do our little part to serve the world,
Yeah. And you're doing it. Everyone on your team, that energy comes across. Shout out Kimber.
We love Kimber.
She's great. It's been such a joy. And Dan, we leave our listeners with a piece of gold, a quote that speaks to you. Would you please share yours?
Yep, sure. I've got a quote from Richard Branson. He says, "You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and falling over." And I think that's the best way to do it, And I was probably a rule follower, growing up. I went to Catholic school, and so it was very rules, and I went along with it. But to really grow, you have to kind of break out of that.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold. We want to thank you and encourage you to celebrate yourself for taking the time to learn and get inspired in your one beautiful life. And if this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to us if you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to help support our mission to keep bringing you inspiring stories and guests.
First, following the podcast is important because it helps you never miss an episode. To do this, just go to the Ivy Unleashed podcast show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow.
While you're there, if you'd be so kind to give us a 5-star rating and review and share your favorite episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful for your support.
We are thrilled you're here and are so happy that you're taking time to prioritize your wellness, self-discovery, and growth with us.